Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you have a Tacoma or you've been looking into buying a Tacoma, then you are probably familiar with the frame recall that affected 05 to 2010. Originally when I bought the truck, this is a 2011, so I wanted to get one outside of the frame recall. And actually recently I got a letter from Toyota. They have extended the recall, and I will put a picture of that on the video here so you can see what years are extended. I don't have it with me right now. So today what we're going to go over is rust prevention, getting rid of surface rust that you may already have, and sealing up the frame so you don't have to worry about rust in the future. To cover what we're going to be using today, if you have a drill, you can get something like this. It's like a sanding pad that'll just chuck up in a regular drill, but I'm going to be using this to kind of sand some surface rust away. I'll be kind of scuffing up the whole surface of the frame with some sandpaper. This is 60 grit. And then I have a 60 grit disc for my grinder here that I'll use for some of the tougher stuff. From what I remember, there's really not much under there, but I just want to get it all nice and clean. And then once we get it clean, I am going to be sealing it up with some VHT roll bar and chassis paint. And ideally, I would like to use some POR 15, which I'll link in the description. But the dry time on that stuff is super long, and I really don't have the time to sit here and let it dry and cure properly before I have to drive the truck out of here. Some of the other options that you have are a actual undercoating like this, and this is from Rust-Oleum. It's just kind of like a spray undercoating. It ends up being like a jelly sort of consistency. It's not going to work for me because obviously I'm going to be in mud and dirt and everything like that, and it's just going to stick to it, and I'm going to have to pressure wash the frame. So I'd rather it be a smooth surface, so I'm going to go ahead and stick to the POR 15 or the roll bar and chassis paint, and I'd recommend the same if you're going to be off-roading. That being said, if your truck primarily stays on pavement, you'd be better off with some sort of undercoating like this or a fluid film. It's going to work better. You're not really going to have to worry about it as much, but you should still end up redoing it every year or so. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get to working on this frame. I'm going to remove the wheels, tires, the skid plate, actually the bottom part of my bumper, so I can get to that part of the frame too, and let's get to it. Got everything off, got the skid plates off, the bottom half of the bumper, pulled up all those little shields up there to expose the frame. As you can see, my frame's not necessarily rusty, it's just the surface coat on it is starting to diminish, and you can see those little spots, and then of course it's been in the mud and all that stuff, so that's where all this coloration is mainly just dirt and mud, which I'm going to end up cleaning out. One downfall of the bumper is it kind of traps stuff up in there in that little channel, so this will give me a chance to clean all that out. You can see that's all packed full of dirt and mud right there, which is not good because that's going to cause it to rust. So that's one thing we can clean out. Looking back at the rest of the frame, everything's looking pretty good. There's just some little bit of rust right there, which I'm going to be cleaning up. Nothing serious. Luckily I've kept up with this enough, and like I said, the original frame recall wasn't even for 2011. I've just been cautious just because obviously I care about the truck. So we're gonna go ahead and start sanding and cleaning up this frame, and it should look much better afterwards. I'm also gonna end up removing this air tank back here now that I have my other CO2 air, so I'm not really worried about having that anymore. It'll save me a little bit of weight, but we'll go ahead and get to it. What you guys saw was actually the last step. First I went around by hand with some sandpaper and kind of scuffed up all the spots I wasn't going to need the big grinder for or anything. And then after that, took the big grinder with the 60 grit wheel and went around and just cleaned it up as best as I could everywhere. Don't worry about the sliders, I'm gonna do those later. But yeah, I got the frame pretty much all prepped and ready for some paint. One thing I wanted to show you guys here, this tube that you see that comes down, so that's actually clamped onto the evaporator drain for the AC system. From the factory, the evaporator drain, it actually drips the water from when you're using your AC right onto the frame and into the frame rail. So what I did was clamp a hose onto the evaporator drain right there with the worm clamp, and then just secured it here. So then when the AC is on, it's actually just gonna drip outside of the frame. So that's another good little step to help prevent some rust. You can see this is a lot cleaner now. There's a bunch of mud in there I ended up blowing out on both sides. Alright guys, here it is. Got a couple coats of the roll bar and chassis paint on the frame now. Waiting for this final coat to dry out before I start putting some stuff back together. Turned out real good. Doing a couple coats helps you come back and get some spots that you would have otherwise missed just doing a single coat. So doing the multiple coats really helped on that part. Of course, if you got your shocks or anything like that that you don't want to get overspray on, you tape those off or put a plastic bag around them or even remove them. I was just careful when I was spraying around them. I went ahead and removed that rear tank I showed you guys earlier. But yeah, turned out real good and I'm happy with the results. Should help keep the frame protected, and maybe I'll touch it up every 1 or 2 years and keep it looking good. Alright guys, so that sums it up for the rust prevention and getting rid of some of the surface rust that was already on my frame. To cover it, I ended up using 4 cans of the VHT roll bar and chassis paint. You could probably do about 6, honestly. You could do another couple coats, would probably be ideal. But the couple coats that I did, I think will be just fine, and I plan on touching it up back in the future. So if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time.